Welcome to FiST Chat, your source for news and discussions in film science and technology, hosted by Steve Kern and Ben Warner. Visit our website at fistchat.com. Hi there everyone, and welcome to another new episode of FiST Chat, where we talk about all things film science and technology. My name's Ben Warner, and I'm joined once again by my good friend and colleague Steve Kern for our third pre-recorded episode today. How are we doing today, Steve?
I'm good, thanks, Ben. Hello, FiST Chat fans. It's great to still be here fisting away.
We got a good, thing with the production line thing happening here. I think we're just cranking them out. We could be doing this all the time, but we need more time to do it, unfortunately. For our topic today, there was an article in The Age where the head of, or the chief exec of Palace Cinemas here in Australia, Benjamin Zakola, was trying to justify why they're charging $20 a ticket to go to the cinema. And, he's basically saying it's a way to stay in business. If he's saying if you take away screen advertising, we wouldn't have a cinema that survived. If you took away the bars, we wouldn't have a cinema that survived. So, yeah, I guess from a business perspective, I can see where he's coming from. But from a film goer perspective like myself, I know that I don't know exactly when it occurred, but I know I stopped going as much as I used to when the ticket prices went beyond a certain point. I think it might have been maybe the $17 or $18 mark. And I think it maybe it's just a psychological thing. You know, there's always inflation and, prices go up and all that sort of thing. But I think it's just a psychological thing. I think, I know it's not the same thing, but you can get a high-end TV show download. You can buy it for $30 and get 10 hours of really high-quality, almost cinematic content streamed straight to your TV. Why are you spending $20 to watch something that only goes for 2 hours in a cinema?
Well, you're absolutely right. A family of four can sit at home and have a late-release movie streamed to their television for $6.
Yeah.
Rather than paying $80 at a cinema. It's a very tough market out there. And I think, Ben Zakola makes some good points in that, if it wasn't for the candy bar where we pay ridiculous prices, and if it wasn't for, I guess all the add-ons, the advertising in cinema, movies probably don't make money anymore. They're very expensive to produce. They're very expensive if you're an exhibitor to, get on board, although digital should be making it cheaper. But they would have had to have spent a lot of money upgrading in the last 2 or 3 years. So there's huge investments there. And I tend to agree with you, though. It's at that point now where they may well be justified in charging $25 or $30 a ticket, but that justification doesn't mean or doesn't translate into people actually buying the tickets.
Exactly.
There's a point where, people just say no.
Well, and not to be harsh, I know that film fans will be probably disappointed with what I'm about to say, but the notion that I'm starting to become very selective about the types of films that I'm going to go see, because I have to think that I'm going to get that $20 of value out of what I'm watching. And you're watching something on a screen that you wouldn't, a screen size that you normally wouldn't get, and you've got that collective audience experience as well. When you're in there with a group of people and you're all having that sort of shared experience, which can't be replicated anywhere else. But unfortunately, when you've got, say, a smaller scale film, and with TV production now becoming so high quality, smaller films tend to, unfortunately, not justify that sort of ticket price. And, Ben Zakola's in charge of a cinema chain that will be screening a lot of those types of films. Yeah. And I'm not saying necessarily that, the Hollywood blockbuster is worth more money, is more worth it, I should say, because they've got all the effects and everything, because quite often they don't have scripts or story or performance. Yeah. But I just find that I have to be very convinced that beforehand, going into the cinema, that it's going to be worth that money before I'll spend the money on it. And that usually comes down to perhaps researching the film beforehand, what say the reviews tend to start become a bit more important if there's some sort of collective consensus that it's really good. As an example, the most recent Captain America film that's come out had extremely high ratings, more than what you would expect from that type of film. And after having gone to see it and watched it, it actually had strong story, strong performance, and was worth that ticket price, I thought.
How much were the tickets?
I believe they were around 20. So, because I didn't get them, but I'm pretty sure that cinema, it wasn't the Palace Cinemas, it was the Hoyt Cinema chain, but they're all roughly charging the same amount anyway.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I think you raised some good points. But everyone thought the VHS would kill off Hollywood and cinema experiences, but movie tickets were cheap for a long time in that era, and obviously the VHS never gave the same sort of cinema experience. Even the best home studios or home entertainment centres just didn't really quite cut it. Do you think now, though, with the quality, the fact that you've got a retina screen on your, tablet, the fact that you've got a great screen on your, desktop, and you've got a great screen on your wall for watching TV and streaming, through your Apple TV or whatever other device people use, that's really what's biting, though. Do you think that there's, going to the cinema, you said it, the screen's bigger and there's a greater dynamic range in the audio, but is it really that much better an experience?
It's just you're getting that collective audience experience. That's what you miss when you watch something at home. I mean, you might have your family there, but I think there's just something about being in a sort of a dark room with a group of strangers watching this collectively that can't be replicated elsewhere.
When it's a great film, you're absolutely right, because, everyone shares the emotions together, but when it's a rubbish film, it's awful. It's even worse.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I think, taste is subjective, but for me, I think there just aren't as many good films that justify that kind of experience anymore that are being made. Now, I know that Hollywood's got a fairly sort of entertainment focus now, and the so-called films that have some sort of social or whatever message to them or whatever that they're trying to get across, they're now sort of funded via their indie labels, and they come out at the end of the year for so that they can get Oscars and all of that.
All the blockbuster stuff now is just comic books.
Well, exactly. You got to wonder. You've got film actors doing these high-end TV shows and not showing up in these films anymore, and they're probably saying, well, I don't want to wear a superhero costume, I'd rather punch through some TV shows, and
I'm a real actor.
Exactly, and get some performances done. So there might be something in that, and I guess the other thing too is that back in the day, I guess when we were growing up watching films, films would hang around in the cinema for half a year to a year, the big ones that were successful. Even your indie films would have lasted a lot longer than what they do now. The fact that these films get pulled after 4 weeks minimizes the amount of time that they can extract sort of profit from from the audience, and it just makes it much more difficult. And I'm just wondering if the film industry has sabotaged itself in that way.
Do you think they need to reinvent the format? So for instance, should we be going to cinemas to watch episodes of, I don't know, TV-like series, or should we be watching shorter films? So for your $20, should you see 3 30-minute long films?
I mean, there's no reason why we couldn't, but it also could be
music clips.
It also could be that the cost of production and distribution should be really looked at. Films, if there's no reason if they spend $30 million on a film that they can't make something really decent and get a decent return out of it. But the thing is, it's a business, as we've spoken about on many times before. They don't want a film. I mean, obviously, they don't mind if they make a $30 million film and make $60 million out of it. But what they really want, they always want the $1 billion film. To that end, they're chasing that all the time. They're spending ridiculous amounts of money to get there. And that's where that's a problem in the industry, I think. There's no reason why they couldn't make 5 films for the same amount of money and maybe get the same return across 5 films, and then they keep the audience happy with quality content. And I figure with the audience and any sort of product that is released into the public, people will show up for it if it's if you make it worth their while.
Very true. Very true.
So, but who knows how it'll all turn out. I mean, I think there's still water to go under the bridge as far as how the industry is going to adapt to this new environment.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're going to do, but I think the cinema experience of sitting down for 2 hours and watching a film, I think there will always be films that are worthy of that, and that will always be part of the cinema experience. I don't expect that to change. But that's all they offer. And if you look at any other product, they have multiple offerings and variations on offerings. A bit like you might have a cola drink, and then you've got 10 different variations of that same cola drink.
Yeah.
So you would think that it's probably time to do that. I'm surprised, for instance, that there's not more musical offerings.
Yeah.
With the technology that we see on DVDs, when you have touring bands and they capture that, some of those, especially with the audio and just the big screen performance, some of those would, I'm sure, be a lot more popular for people to go and see than some of the movies that they're putting on the schedule. And I'm just very surprised that there's not more of that.
And I guess that's really maybe the point for the industry to take on, is they're sort of stuck still in the old model of make a film, a story-driven film. Although maybe you can argue there aren't many story-driven films specific
or just make
today.
a film about a comic book.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they're stuck in. They're still stuck in that sort of idea. And they're probably leaving a lot of money on the table by not exploring all these other options. And maybe at some point when the web generation takes over Hollywood, it might actually happen. There was rumors that, I can't remember his name, but I think it's the new CEO of Time Warner or Warner Brothers or whatever, is a bit of a social media and tech enthusiast. He's right across all of that stuff and has been starting to introduce, strategies that comply with that kind of thinking. So maybe when Hollywood is sort of moved into that phase, maybe that's when they'll get on board.
Interesting, very interesting times ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Steve, we might wrap it up there. So thanks again for the chat.
Thanks, Ben. FiST Chat fans, let us know what films that you're willing to pay $20 for.
Yeah, absolutely. We do want to know that. So don't forget our website, FiSTChat.com. You can get all of our links there. Our ebook, The FiST Report, at fistreport.com. Both the 2012 and 13 editions are available there, and they help to support the show. We've got our weekly blogs, photography on Instagram and Flickr, so you can check those out as well. And if you think anyone's interested in our weekly discussions on film science and technology, then feel free to send them to our website. We would greatly appreciate that. So that's it for this episode. So we'll catch you next time.